well, perhaps there's a little bit of politics in some of the things coming from the aviation sector. Perhaps you should be able to let us in on that. First, it was the River State Governor's aircraft, the episode in Akure, and again the other one, Governor Adams Oshiomhole in Benin, the chopper. And just 48 hours ago, Governor Wamako of Sokoto State, well, his aircraft being diverted from landing at the airport in Sokoto. What's really going on?
As far as we are concerned in NAMA, we are following international best practice and procedures, especially when it comes to issues of when an aircraft could be cleared to go. One is you must file a flight plan. And the flight plan tells you it's going from point A to point B, and if it's a long haul, that is international, it tells you, I'm going to take this route or that route. There are times in the day, or indeed, due to politics or wars, the route changes. So that plan tells you how it's going to fly. And one of the things that plan does is, if you can't find the aeroplane, then you know the route to look for it. Whether it's a helicopter or a fixed wing, flight plan is necessary. You couldn't possibly just take off and say, I'm carrying a president, I'm carrying a governor. So, through where? You know, that was Madam Oshiomhole. Then you also know that we have some security challenges in the country. And there was a plane that came from Jamina all the way to Gombe. And there is no custom and immigration in Gombe officially. That means it couldn't be checked by security people. That was some months ago. And that attracted, call it a query from the National Security Advisor, signed by himself. And we investigated it. We found out who were on board and passed the report to them. Then instruction came that all traffic or all aircraft that are not scheduled operators, you know, when you're flying normal schedules, as soon as you buy your ticket, you enter the manifest, so it's not they know who is flying. That's why even when you're boarding, they say, we want to see your photo ID to show that the name on the ticket is also the name of the face of the person flying. But for private jets, you just see the aircraft, you don't know who is carrying. And if you need to deal with the security situation, you need to know who is going where and who is coming from where. So we have that instruction in writing that all private movements like that should have a manifest submitted with a flight plan. And that presupposes that if you come in to pick Channel's team, you know those you are picking. You're not picking people that don't have names. The worst case scenario would be that you can get the names on arrival and submit it to the flight plan, because you can actually file a flight plan on arrival, because you've completed a leg of the flight, you want to do the next. It may not be where you came from, you're going back to. So you file a flight plan, and we're expected to submit manifest. And this is something I'm sure you know you can do in 1 minute. Just write the names of people. They're not saying attach their passports. Just put their names down and submit. And of course, you know, security people are around to sometimes confirm whether indeed those names are those in the aircraft. So, starting with Amaechi, we have the issue of manifest. On the case of Oshiomhole, we have the issue of flight plan first, because he was in the government house and wanted to lift from there. And they said, we don't have your flight plan.
But I thought you just said now that you could actually get the flight plan on the second leg. Because we understand that this was already airborne.
No, I'm saying, I said he came in from Lagos. That helicopter came in from Lagos.
From Lagos to...
And a flight plan in Lagos.
Okay.
Now, the leg from government house. It's not Lagos. So we need to know where you're going. That's what the flight plan says. Then he didn't do that.
No, you said you could file it on arrival. That was what you said.
Yeah, of course. He arrived, stayed on ground for about 55 minutes. He didn't file it. He just lifted.
No.
And now, of course, I have the records. He said, the pilot controller said, we don't have a flight plan. He said, I have the governor on board. That's not the answer to, I don't have a flight plan. No, if you have the governor on board, that does not exempt you from filing a flight plan. Presidential planes file flight plan.
Okay, so that means what you're saying is not that, in this case, it could not be filed on arrival
at the destination.
Arrival at the governor's destination. It couldn't be acceptable.
No, you would have completed the flight.
I thought you said you could file
I said,
on arrival.
when you arrive from where you're coming, you need to file the next leg. That is to say, he came from filed in Lagos, arrived Benin. We don't have to assume that where he's going. It is when he has filed a flight plan, we'll know where he's going next. Okay, let me make it very clear. He didn't file any flight plan. He lifted. And before lifting, the controller said, we don't have a flight plan. He said, I have governor on board. And that does not answer the question, I don't have a flight plan.
Okay, but if he had arrived at the governor's destination, would the flight plan be tenable if he attended it upon arrival?
He would not be allowed to depart without a flight plan. Because that's like saying, you don't know where he's going. He's just telling you where he's going. He didn't write it down. He may not go there. And when somebody has filed a flight plan, we have radar now. If you are deviating for your route, your flight plan says you are going to do this. Where are you going?
So in what circumstance then can one file a flight plan on arrival at his destination?
There is no circumstance for filing a flight plan on arrival. I said, if you do a leg of a journey, the next leg was have a flight plan. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying when you finish the journey, you file a flight plan.
Let's get it here.
Yeah.
There was a flight plan leaving Lagos for Benin.
Yes.
So getting to Benin, there should be another flight plan telling you where you're off to.
Next.
And which is usually the first step before you take off.
Before you take off, yes.
But we understand that it landed right at the government house, not at the Benin airport.
Yes.
So was he in touch with the controller?
Of course, yes. It's controller that permitted him to touch down at the government house. And of course, from the government house, he could talk to the controller. The controller is up and ask him to lift up and say, your flight plan, please. And of course, he could actually file a flight plan 30 minutes before he's ready to lift, because he knew where he was going next.
Okay, but is it true that the crew was already airborne before the entourage was asked to return to Benin?
Yeah, I tried to clarify that there was nothing like that. On the conversation with the controller that he hasn't filed flight plan, it's okay, we come over, we hop over from the government house to file the flight plan and then continue. That's what happened. Because if he had occurred to him that he needed to do that, probably it didn't occur to him because he was going to carry a governor, which is strange. He would have done that a long time. He can even drive down, file it. Once it's with us, everything's with us. If he calls, he goes, but we have the records.
Is this, because we want to believe that these are experienced pilots who know the rules of, safety, of aviation and know what to do. Is this something that they normally do and has been overlooked, and all of a sudden, everybody is taking the rules rather strongly? Or what exactly is going on?
Well, if you do human factor studies, you discover that experienced people do make errors. They make assumptions sometimes. And just like an experienced pilot telling you, your flight plan, please, I have governor on board. Is that the answer? An experienced pilot knows that that flight plan is the only thing we can hold on to look for him if we can find him. Yeah, so how could he assume that he didn't have to file it?
That's what we're saying. It's very possible that he's done it before and got away with it, and then, this is something that he possibly be wondering, how come my explanation is not sufficient this time around?
Yes, because I guess he didn't know that he couldn't get away with it this time, maybe.
Okay, the accounts that was given of the pilots didn't mention any such thing as a flight plan, because the report here we see says when Captain Manahash, that's his name, he says he was shocked by the incident And he says, quote, "I have been a pilot for 35 years, out of which 7 years in